everyone's not the same.
I'm just saying, there are successful guys who are doing it.
It sounds to me like you're trying to be like someone. It sounds to me like
when we're young, we're all trying to be like someone, right?
It sounds to me like you're trying to be like someone. All right. So if you say, "Yo, we're not all the same," like, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. We can play that game all day, son.
So,
This tearing y'all generation up. Hold on, how old is dude? Shout out to the Nice and Neat podcast.
Yeah, it's not tearing our generation up, man. We grew up listening to Prince, Michael Jackson, Boy George, seeing RuPaul.
Y'all called Michael Jackson.
No,
y'all
was never
didn't
us.
claim RuPaul.
We didn't claim, but we didn't bash him either.
Yes, y'all did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, y'all did. His life story is y'all talking about how y'all bash him.
No. Now if you watch any of his interviews, he always tell you that he never had a problem with Generation X, not baby boomers maybe, but Generation X. That has never been. We have always been a mind your business generation, and and honestly, I wish dude would have pushed back harder on this.
He should have,
because this is the problem, right? There's always been men that have painted their nails, right? Marilyn Manson, right? But it's always been seen as eccentric, right? Outside, right? But if that's what you do, that's what you do. I don't know how this is dripping into the black manosphere. And the reason why I added this video is because this is becoming a question that is not on the question on the white manosphere. Now, to be fair, a lot of times the white manosphere take their cues from the black manosphere, and no credit is ever given, right? Thank you, algorithm. But the point of the matter is, like, as a father, you get to dictate what your kid can and can't do, and dads need to push back on anybody saying, well, what if your child want to do this? Like, if my son walked in and he said, hey, Dad, I want to be an underwater welder, right? The first question I would ask him is, all right, cool, where did you get that idea from, right? Because that's outside of the norm, right? Who did you talk to? What did you watch? What did you see that made you curious about this, right? And then we discuss it, right? Because that's a very dangerous job, right? We discuss it. And everybody would say, that is fair, right? But if my son comes in and say, to use your point last week, as a makeup artist, right? Now if I push back and say, okay, where did you get that idea from? What made you think of that? What did you see? Who have you been talking to? Now all of a sudden it's like, well, I think your generation has a problem.
No, it's not that. What it really comes down to, if we want to be real with it, if your son says, I want to be an underwater welder, you don't question his manhood on that. You question his manhood if he wants to be a makeup artist, if he wants to be a hairstylist. Hold on, I'll let you talk.
No.
Hold on, I'll let you talk.
Okay, go ahead.
The first thing Duke said, when Duke said that, he said, that's not what we say men do. That's the problem that we never address.
When he's saying we, I'm thinking of him and his son. I'm not thinking of him speaking on behalf of black men.
Yeah, so
as a
that's
whole.
what I'm saying. I'm talking about him and his son, just like I was talking about you and your son, or me and my son. If they come to us, we had a discussion last week. That's why I'm laughing, because it was in there, and I'm like, damn. And to be fair, I had this conversation with other men. It's not just y'all generation. It's not just men. I think my generation, we're here be like, we don't automatically think like, okay, now, are you a man? Or is your manhood in question? Am I going to be judged that my son is known as the baddest makeup artist in the Southeast? We don't question men on that. Like, that's what it is. That's what it comes to. Duke showed it perfectly. It was that one little sentence. That's not what men do. We look at it every time a dude, and it gets down to emasculation, and it always comes down to it.
No, I think it's emasculation. I don't think it's an ideal of what's masculine, because masculinity isn't performative. Right, masculinity is your actions. It's who you are. When every time masculinity becomes performative, is when we trip over ourselves and when we mess up. Right, like if someone says, well, I'll kick your ass. Right, that's performative. Right, because fighting is a skill. Fight has nothing to do with your manhood or your masculinity. You could be anybody, and if you're skilled at fighting, you can kick somebody's butt. Right, so that has nothing to do with masculinity. So I think when it's the stereotype of masculinity or it's performative, then we trip over ourselves. But the ideal, what I want to focus on here, the idea that a father cannot force it. I could not wear 4 times size jeans when I was in my parents' house.
Absolutely,
I could not wear. That was a mandate from them. They could not be hanging off of my butt. That was a mandate from my dad. I couldn't do it. It doesn't matter if everybody's doing it. Doesn't matter is how it's being seen. It's, hey, this is my rule for you. And I think fathers are allowed to say, you know what? Because again, right, this is becoming a thing in our community, right? The kid that got drafted by the 76ers from Duke, Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal, Caleb Williams. This is becoming a conversation where I think fathers can just say, "Hey, do you?" But I said my son couldn't, and I don't really have to have a reason outside of that. Outside of no, you can't.
Nah, you don't. But that line he said is why you're always going. This is why this is going to continue to be.
And I don't think it should be. I think dads need to just say, "Hey, like if that's what you wanted to do, right? Not you personally, right?
Yeah.
But the individual." Cool, right? But I also think that the opposite is also true, right? It's not what I want to do. Also, cool.
Yeah, it's always, well, that's always going to be the cool way of putting it, because if we keep it real, I can't stop you for doing anything in your house. I can't. You can't stop me from doing whatever I want to do in my house.
Absolutely.
I think once we bring that conversation to the group, because the first thing I would have asked that dude is, what's unmanly about getting your nails painted? And then that would have stopped that whole conversation. Because one, we're going to get 1 or 2 steps away from him showing that he homophobic, if I'm just going to just take us there to the next level.
Well, I mean,
with this podcast.
So is painting nails
homophobic? Not homophobic.
Is it a feminization of men? Is it an emasculation of men?
That's what I think. That gray line, I think there's a gray area that your generation trips up.
It's not my generation. This is everybody.
Yes, no, it's not.
This is everybody.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because again, right, when you think of Marilyn Manson, Kiss, all those individuals, right? Like it was the same questions then, right? But it was just one of those things where it was like it was seen as this is eccentric.
Mike, my generation and the generations after me, they go to the nail salons regularly. When your generation, the generation before you said, hey, we should go get our fingers taken care of, y'all was using the F word, calling people sissies, and everything else.
I see, and again, did not experience that because
How old was you when you got your nails done?
Probably in my early 20s.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, there wasn't women going to the nail salon in my early 20s. It was not a nail salon on every corner. Growing again, I think sometimes you forget that the 90s and the early 2000s, there was a huge shift in everything. Technology being one of the biggest things. We went from VHS to digital. Like it's on nothing anymore, right? So I think sometimes you wake up and you're like, man, I woke up in this generation where it was salons on every corner. It was cell phones that took pictures on every corner. There's a generation where that did not exist. So things were different all around. Like even the idea of going to get your nails done, it was like there were not press-ons that you have now, or acrylics that you have now, or gel that you have. None of those things really existed in the 90s, bro.
As a person who grew up with a sister in the 90s, yes, the fuck he did. Stop it.
How old were you in the 90s?
Mike, I was born in 89. We can't act like I'm 27.
That's what I'm saying. So you were 10. There was not folks just going to the salon. When I went to college, there were not girls that was like, yo, I am going to get my nails done every Thursday.
All right.
Now, when you went to college, that probably was more so the case.
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing. I'm telling you, we can't act like it's this big gap. I'm watching the Aaron Hernandez FX show that just dropped last night. I encourage everybody to watch it. They dropping F-bombs, which I really want to get to that, Doc, because I believe y'all keep showing how he was homosexual early before his father died, because y'all would have got killed for putting that out there. I'm just saying that.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it.
Well, now you got to start paying attention to the politics of how they start scripting shows so they don't get called out for it later. So that's all. Yeah. But what I want to say is, like, that, one thing, the hardest part of the show is watching his dad call his brother gay for the way he ran. Because Aaron Hernandez's brother, his older brother, wasn't as good as Aaron Hernandez. That was a thing, Mike. In the 90s when we was growing up.
I'm not saying that homophobia doesn't exist. I'm saying that
well, I can't get the point out.
Okay, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is, who was the most homophobic generation? Boomers? Absolutely. Did it trickle down and get easier as time went along? Yes. But I think boomers are dying, so that generation that was still more homophobic. I don't think we look at your generation and my generation and say, yo, Gavin's generation is more homophobic. We don't.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just that this idea that homophobia just exists Like it's not even in a bubble. It just comes out and just grabs every man that anytime he goes to get his nails done, right? When I say get nails done, I'm talking about like actually just getting a pedicure or manicure, something that I actually do, right? Yeah. But when you start saying, okay, I'm adding acrylics and I'm adding gel, when men say, okay, that is a emasculation at that point, right? That is not unfair for men to say. It's like, hey, that's an emasculation.
Why? How?
If you're saying look, I'm not saying that.
That's exactly what you just said.
No. I'm not saying that Saucy Santana isn't a man or whatever he wants to be, right? But what I'm saying is when you say that, like, for a man to tell his son that, no, son, I'm not going to allow you to do that. To say that man is homophobic, that is incorrect. That is improper. When that man becomes grown and he can do whatever he want to do, again, when we see RuPaul, there was no Generation X outside of the studios when he had his show said, take RuPaul off TV. It just doesn't exist. Men mind their business. Let other men. So you tell me that black men was outside of the studios of RuPaul's show?
They probably wasn't allowed in the studios. I can't allow us to act like those stories don't exist when those men tell the stories. When we have Diana Ross coming out and saying, "Yo, I was with Luther. He couldn't live his life because they told him he couldn't have a career." When we see white artists who would come out and say, "Yo, they told us." Elton John. There's countless stories of homosexual men who live.
Bro, you're talking about the 60s and 70s.
I'm gonna just let you talk.
Yeah, well, because you're connecting a 2010 narrative to something that's 50 years ago.
I'm telling you their narrative. You telling me
50 years ago.
You got it.
So Elton John was telling you in the 90s he was suffering from people discriminating against him in the 90s. Or is he telling a story of how it was in the 50s and 60s?
There's countless artists who told you, yo, they told me I couldn't have a music career until this point. When I fed up and was just like, fuck it, this is me. They gave you that. They told you all of this. I'm telling you their stories. We've heard RuPaul tell. If you watch RuPaul's show, he sits there and tells you how hard that shit was for him. I don't care who you are, gay, straight, everybody can believe what they want to believe about Luther. It's a reason why he has zero connection to any woman. And once he passed, black women came out and said, yo, we knew he couldn't say nothing because of his career. Like, we know this. Like, we can't, look, growing up, stories about Prince, these stories were there, bro. So I just don't want to act like it doesn't. Now, when it comes to this dude, I'm not saying that he's saying that, yo, if you get your nails painted, you're homosexual. I'm not saying that that's what Duke said, especially because he has a big platform, and I know he chooses his words wisely. I do want to say he threw a line in there is that's not what men do. So when you throw that line in there, it is allowed for me to interpret that, hey, that's what men don't do. Because I'm just using the flip of what you just said. I wish dude would have pushed back and was like, what's unmanly about Dwayne Wade, who, for better or for worse, however you want to see him, jokes or non-jokes, is a heterosexual man getting his nail done. There's dudes on the block who are real men, whatever you want to define that as, and we saying we're not saying they not masculine. Then we're gonna get down to, all right, if I get my nails buff versus they just look rugged when I leave. Some people nails are so buff that you think they have polish on them. We're not gonna look at that.
Yeah, I think that's whatever. Again, I think that's whatever it is that you're comfortable with. But to this point, this conversation is about what a father can allow in his home. This conversation wasn't about what men can do. I have clearly said men can do what they want. But if you say that, hey, well, this should also be, if you push back against your child, you're moving into the territory of homophobia. No, you're not.
Yo, I didn't say that. I agree with your point. Yeah. Because I agree.
That's my point.
Oh, yeah. Well, I agree with your point. I said from the beginning.
I know, but you bring it in, homophobia and Prince and I'm saying, like, as men, we have by and large minded our business when it comes to what other men do.
I don't agree with that.
We have by and large minded our business.
I don't agree with that at all. Because we was the last generation to stop using the F word. The only reason why I brung up homophobia with bruh, because I said if I was there to ask him that question, once he fleshes that out, I think he's going to be 2 steps away from showing that he's homophobic.
But this is the thing, though. I think a lot of people do this. We combine sexual orientation with emasculation. And those two things can actually exist in 2 separate worlds. They don't have to exist together. So I think it's an easy, reach to say, well, you're reaching over here towards somebody orientation because they're being emasculated. When the truth is, it's like, hey, there is a designed behavior. There's an agreed upon behavior that once you're outside of that agreed upon behavior, you're an outlier at that point, and there's going to be consequences as being an outlier in society. Now, as society changes, it may move towards you, right? But when it doesn't change, you are going to be an outlier. Galileo spent the rest of his life locked up in prison because he said, you know what? The sun does not rotate around the earth, right? Mm-hmm. Eventually, society moves towards him. He gets no benefit from that. So in society, if you are eccentric, outside of it, eclectic, yes, society is going to have to move towards you. Perhaps. It may never do it. But as a man in his home, I am adamant. A father could tell his kid no to whatever he wants to say no to. And that does not make him, he could be, but him saying no is not indicative of that.
Nah, absolutely. And for the record, I agree with that. I just wanted to take the conversation a different way. And I think that Duke is going to have a hard day out with any man and any community trying to describe what is a man and not sound. And going back, are you tired of mediocre haircuts and lackluster?
What up, gang? What up, gang? What up, gang?
Find your grooming game with the ultimate experience and no.
Get this out of here. Just tried to open up with something a little bit different today. Let me see here. What we got here today? How y'all doing out there, man? Appreciate y'all chiming in, coming in. Where we gonna start it at today? So I'm Pastor Mike Will, Black Dads Club. Anybody new here? Try to come on like every Wednesday night, 30, 45 minutes, hour. Sit here, talk about the podcast. I'm one of the co-hosts, Pastor Mike Will. You just saw a video clip of me and Gavin actually going back and forth, discussing what we normally discuss on this pod, which is black male masculinity. How we should be viewed, how we should be seen. What do we have rights to do, to say? I am of the camp that for some reason, we as black men are monitored more so than everybody else, despite the fact that we are the most progressive voting bloc that exists. Yo, can I make this thing fit the screen? This is what we're going to open up with the TA part today. Pull this over here. B. Walker says we have to stop with the gender bending. I mean, again, society can move in whatever direction it goes. This clip right here is where I was basically saying that as a father, you are allowed to have whatever opinion in your home that you want, right? We're not going to start this place of, fathers have to bend to the opinions of others outside of the home. Now, in society and in life, we do have social contracts. That part is true. So we do have social contracts. But when you're at home, that kind of deads where the social contract ends for the most part. Outside of committing major crimes, right? But in your home, in your private conversation, in your private life, y'all often hear me say I'm a free speech absolutist, which means that all speech, is going to be free speech, even if it's something that you disagree with. If it's something that's about you, that's not slanderous, yeah, I think people will have the ability to say so. If you want to look at me and you like, yo, you're fat, you're ugly, right? That's fair, right? If you want to say, hey, you black and I won't hire you, well, that might get you in trouble. But that was an old clip right there, man. Episode 155, about 30 episodes ago. That was last year. We were discussing the Nice and Neat podcast. Look like I'm about 20 pounds heavier in that video. I've been on my weight loss journey. I suggest all men do this. It's actually way better the lower down you go in weight. Energy's better, sleep is better, boinking is better. I gotta remember that we're on TikTok, so TikTok has like a real tight profanity monitor over there, so I can't really get our lives stopped over there. So try to clean up the language a lot on these Wednesday night lives. But hey, man, y'all feel free to chat, man. Tell me how y'all doing tonight, bro. What's going on in y'all world? Okay, well, how's the ladies? How's everybody? How's everybody, old lady, doing? All right, warmest. Hey, man, you guys have to stop cussing there. So when I read your comment, I don't curse. All right, one of the biggest concerns that a lot of people are asking is AI. Like, how does AI? How is it going to reshape the future? I just got done watching a shark movie with the lady. Hey, that's what's up. If you got a girl that watches a shark movie with you, you got a winner over there. Flowers. Don't mess that up. So, I actually had a second thing I wanted to mention, y'all. It wasn't on my agenda. It was just something that I ran across. If I can remember it real quick, regarding hiring. I don't know. Maybe I'll think of it as we go along, though. But this question that I do often, get like, hey, is AI going to replace all white collar jobs? All white collar jobs, no. But it's going to replace some. So this is an article. This was written last week. IBM lays off 8,000 employees for AI automation, only to rehire just as many soon after because of. And this is something that I've been really trying to keep my eye on, because the department that they were all laid off from is the department that I work in, human resources. So last year, IBM laid off 8,000 employees from its human resources department because they created Ask HR, right? Basically a service that can handle any mundane task, right? Payroll, vacation, documentation, probably can handle all your onboarding. So like whenever you get a new job and they say, hey, we need you to send your passport, your ID, your social security, whatever it is, right? Like that onboarding information, right? This software can do it, right? And they laid off 8,000 people and end up increasing revenue, right? So everyone was kind of like, man, what the heck is going to happen, all right? This is the point that I want to make here tonight. Isn't to say, hey, be afraid that you're going to lose your job to AI. I did a whole AI interview for a job like 2 months ago. It was pretty solid. Yeah, it's like I said, my job is on the line here. What I do is on the line. But one of the things that I want to point out is there's roles that AI cannot replace, and these are going to be jobs and skills that you will want to have that expertise in, right? So and that's if you're not going trade, right? AI is probably not for a while, not till robots get good, right? But it's probably not replacing plumbing, right? It's probably not replacing barbering, right? So it's certain skills that it's not going to replace. But if you're going to stay in white collar work, software engineering, right? Specifically, probably database engineering, because everything in AI is going to the cloud. It has to be put into categories. If you're learning software engineering, database engineering, probably going to have a job as AI grows, right? Sales and marketing. Marketing, I'm worried about. Sales, I'm not really worried about. And sales is always a cheat code, man. Like, if you cannot get into a STEM field, right? Sales is like the cheat code because you can make good money. A lot of people cannot do it, right? For whatever reason, right? Whether it's talking to people, whether it's asking for money, closing the deal. Software engineering is taking jobs too. June, give us a little bit more on that, because I know that's your cup. I know that's your area of expertise. But some of these roles cannot be replaced, right? And what you want to do is make sure that you are steering yourself or your children more towards a career. They can turn into an AI funnel, but this is the thing, right? When it comes to like B2B sales, people need someone to be responsible, right? One of Facebook's biggest problems of why it was so hard for them to get into tech is because they were so hard to get in touch with, right? And their first really good product was the AI glasses, the Meta glasses, right? But why? Because it's going through Ray-Ban. It's not going through them. If it was going through them, they still wouldn't sell it. Sales is not something that can really just you can really just give to AI, right? AI really can't sell me, right? You can offer me incentives, but you also got to capture my attention. So that human touch, roles that really have that human touch, which would be marketing to a certain extent, sales, and like I said, cloud work, AWS, probably gonna be, something that you could still be able to pick jobs up in the future, and basically using AI in order to. Oh yeah, I did see AI was starting to take it because it could script and code quicker. Yeah, I did see that, and that's what I'm saying. Like learning something like database engineering, where you're basically running the AI, right? Where you know the prompts. Those engineering jobs are still going to be there. Yeah, the days of someone typing in code, those days might be gone. But people that can ask the right questions, put in the prompts, you're still going to have it. Any job that requires creative thinking, problem solving, right? Human interaction. And the reason why I brought this article up is because a lot of people try to scare you and be like, yo, AI is going to get rid of everybody's job, right? Well, they actually hired pretty much everybody that they laid off. They pretty much refilled all those roles in different departments. So a lot of what's happening is the roles are just moving, right? So don't be afraid of automation. Don't be afraid of innovation. Now this is crazy. The net performance score was plus 74. But to say still, despite that high rate of success, 6% of requests still require human assistance. And I'm not gonna lie, that is low. Like that HR that they created, that is crazy. But make sure you're still working on AI prompts, learning that in your role. And if you see that your role is something that can be affected by AI, there's still going to be jobs out there. So, like I said, for everybody that IBM laid off last year, they said they basically brought back almost a head for head in other departments. So don't put your head in the sand about artificial intelligence, but don't get freaked out completely by it either. Now, if I get laid off, like because we've added, what's the name of the program? Ask HR tomorrow. That'd be ironic, but don't really be, like I said, don't let it freak you out. Like don't get there and be like, man, I'm gonna lose my job to AI. Like school teachers, I doubt school teachers are gonna have to worry about AI anytime soon. I gotta check out Claude. I need to look up all the different AI tools. But that was my that was going to be my talent acquisition tip of the night. I want to dig into it a little bit more. And I hope y'all like the clip that I brought on, regarding Black Dads Club. I actually want to go through and bring up a lot of these older clips back. For one, I think it shows our growth, for once. how far we've came, and also you're able to kind of go back and say, you know, hey, where was we right and where was we wrong? I think that shows a level of accountability. Let me see if I can bring up another clip real quick. Let me see here. Let me know if y'all can't hear these. Let me know if y'all can't hear these. By the way.
So type in soft life. Does black men auto-populate?
Nah, black women, black girl, then black men.
Okay. Now I want you to type in soft life white.
Just white woman.
All
white
right.
girl, white married.
No, not white men.
No,
right?
not at all.
All right.
Matter of fact, it's not pulling up.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I tried to put it in, and what came up was white men opinion on black men. Dead ass.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is Gavin didn't know I was going to do that.
Facts.
It's just that I know the system by now, right?
Yeah.
I see it. What you got to understand is this is intentional programming and mindsetting, right? It's the reason why TikTok, they call it heating. It's the reason why TikTok heated black men soft life. It's the reason why this Instagram that I follow now, that now I got to go back and dig through all of shit. Now I got to go dig through all of it to see what kind of messaging are they trying to give black men. So type in soft life. Does black men auto-populate?
Nah, black women, black girl, then black men.
Okay. Now I want you to type in soft life white.
So that's another older clip. One of the things that you'll find on this podcast, if you're new here, if you just joined Pastor Mike Will from Black Dads Club, one of the things that you will find that I do is I defend the heck out of black male masculinity. I really, really do. Like I don't play with it at all. And it's not for any other reason outside of the fact that it seems to be a concerted effort to emasculate black men. And when I say emasculate, the emasculation of black men, I'm not even referring to your sexuality. I think we got to start disconnecting orientation and emasculation, right? Because it's easy to make an argument that, like, oh, you know, you guys, you're trying to speak against something, and now we can make it a civil rights issue. It's not a civil rights issue. There is a concerted effort to make black men emasculated, so they are more controllable. They're more malleable. So that clip right there, we was talking about. I believe at the time, how long this clip is 2 years old. And at the time, there was a trend on TikTok where they were basically saying, you know, soft life black men. And basically it just showed, you know, light-skinned black men cleaning up around the house, right? And making a cup of tea. Like, that's all it was, right? But it was trending. And what I asked Gavin to do in this clip was, hey, put in soft life black men. And it pulled up a lot, right? And then I said, okay, put in soft life white men, right? And it didn't pull up anything. Why is that? Like, that was my question. Like, why is that? So when we keep saying, like, no, you guys are being, you know, old school, or you guys are being cavemen, you know, it's like, no, what we're doing is pattern recognizing, right? Like, the fact that this is being called out by intelligent men means that it's a pattern. And our community has to trust the most intelligent of us. You have to trust the most intelligent of us, right? To say, hey, I'm recognizing a pattern here. Perhaps we should look into it. Perhaps we should listen to the most intelligent of us, right? And not just ostracize that person and say, you got a problem with XYZ community. Like, no, I'm recognizing a pattern here. June said is a part of supremacy, and unfortunately our women don't see that. They are pawns and agents of chaos. I mean, depending on your religion, you're sort of taught that, right? That is your job as the man to be, you know, the watcher. It's your job as a man to protect, right? Like, protection isn't just somebody coming through the door and you grabbing a gun, right? Protection is avoidance. Protection is seeing something coming, right? That's the biggest part of protection, right? It's saying, hey, I see this coming. We need to get away from that, right? I need to get away from it. I don't need to be around for this. But if in our community, anything that we say is minimized, right? And then there's an active campaign to also soften, right, your leadership. At some point, we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge what's going on. And low key, we have to acknowledge that we're losing. We're losing. We cannot look at the situation and say we're in the lead. We can't. We're not in the lead. Feel free to disagree with me, but I don't feel like that we are in the lead. I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and I was like, a question that I believe that men should ask any woman that date them is, hey, do you see me as your leader? And I said it's so easy to ask that question and say, to meet a woman and say, hey, do you see me as a leader, right? Because a leader is kind of ambiguous, and you're sure to get the answer you want. But when you ask her, do you see me as your leader? Well, might not get the answer you want on this one. And that's not to say that she's wrong. She might say, no, you're not leadership quality. You just amazing in bed. You gonna have to accept that. Men have to get back to teaching. Absolutely. But a lot of us are afraid, right? We're afraid to ask that question. Do you see me as your leader? And we can play with it and say, well, no one really leads in a relationship. Well, if no one's leading, where are we going? And I hope y'all guys don't fall for that, like, we lead together BS, because that just means she's leading. She's just smart enough to make you think she ain't. Maybe we have to change the use of leader, being that that's so triggered in our community. Or maybe we need to split the community up, man. Maybe we just need to split the community up. Teacher is the term we have to use because leadership has become so triggering to our people, especially with women and children. With terms like mansplaining, people be trying to undercut the male message. Yeah, and those were the two clips that I played tonight. Because again, like that, this is pretty much the crux of the podcast. We do a lot of trash talking on here. We're funny. You know what I'm saying? We crack a lot of jokes. But the underlying issue on the podcast that I hope that I always bring is making sure my brothers understand how important they are and that how much is really on you, right? It's not just pressure that's on you, right? There's also a lot of privilege that's on you that people want to take away. People want to take away your privilege, right? People want to take away how you're seen as a man. But they'll still tell you that they want men to be leaders, right? But if they're saying that they want men to be leaders and you can't ask the question, well, do you see me as your leader? If you can't even ask that question, you're gonna have a tough time. I appreciate y'all coming in and taking in the heavy conversations on Wednesday, man. Y'all are a bold group. Thank you. Sorry that this is not as funny as the podcast. Tomorrow podcast should drop. Actually should be pretty funny. So we will talk about Diddy in the jury pool tomorrow. Not whether or not, innocence or guilt. Like that's been decided by the courts. But we will talk about the jury pool and how they possibly came to that point. I believe I said in last week's episode I expected him to skate on the big charges and basically get hemmed up on a smaller charge. Let's see here. Maybe say throw away the rest of the community. No, we need cannon fodder, so we can't throw them completely away. But I do think there's something to be said to have a pro-black nuclear family clan and a your life, your choice clan. Like literally, like you guys can do whatever you want to do. I do think that there have to be a separation, and I think a lot of people that are not good kind of hide behind the good. And the only way to keep them from hiding behind the good would be if we move more towards a clan, right? Your life, your choice. You can do what you want to do, and a pro-nuclear family clan. I think if you kind of re-tribalize, I think that kind of helps a little bit, right? Because now you have to either acquiesce to the clan, or you have to admit what clan you're a part of. We've always had leaders in our family and households. If folks are triggered by leader, then they're a part of the problem. June said, how can you protect anyone that doesn't want to learn from you? Here's the thing, June. Not even just learn from you. Like, how about just listen? How about just listen? Right? Like, we're at a place now where it's like, yo, no one has to listen to anybody. Every time we get on the topic of fragmentation of the black community, it makes me think of classism, like the black bourgeoisie and the proletariat stuff. Hey, Flowers, here's the thing. You're absolutely right, because it is, it will create classism. But what you have to understand is that has already been created, right? You're now having to cook with the ingredients that you've been given. If we was living in more of a utopian, non-racial, non-segregationist type world, then we wouldn't have to deal with classism, right? But the fact that capitalism itself is built on classism means that you're always going to have a classism, and it's your job to avoid being at the bottom of the class. That is your job. And I'm not saying that I'm right. What I'm saying is we have to be able to have these conversations, right? I'm a little bit more of extreme, when it comes to things, right? I am hey, if it's broken, why put it back together? Throw it away, right? That may be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, that may be wrong, right? If something is broken and it falls in and it breaks into 4 pieces and it's really, really valuable, it might be better to put it together, like the art of kintsugi, right? And it becomes more valuable. I think it's broken into more than 4 pieces, though. I could be wrong. I'm here for the conversation. Like, I'm not here to just be like, hey, let's just, the hell with everybody. I do believe that's my first curse word, but I don't think that'd be the worst thing in the world. But here's the thing: if we did not break apart the black community, right? What would be another option? I definitely can't throw it away and rebuild. Okay, well, you over here with me then. But I am open to the other conversation. Right? But you're going to have to convince me, right? Like if we did not tear it apart, right? Like you are going to have to convince me, because I don't think the people that are capable of rebuilding the community, I don't think that they're ever going to get the cachet or the acknowledgement or the respect to be able to rebuild the community in the way it needs to be rebuilt, right? Like if we can look at very, very intelligent people and not talk about what they say, right? But we talk about how they look. We talk about, who they dated. We talk about their mistakes, right? We don't listen to the message, right? I can't blame when I see a lot of these very intelligent brothers say, you know what? Might just be time to go ahead and, split this thing in 2, right? I think I was one of the first people to say, yo, tactical retreat, right? Tactical retreat doesn't mean you're losing the war, doesn't mean that you're even weaker. It really just means that it's so many enemies that what it would take for you to win, it might cost you too many people that are valuable to you. So that your job is to fall back while you still have a fighting spirit, so you can regroup. And I feel like every Wednesday I'm coming here and having this conversation. But again, Black Dads Club is a black male masculinity podcast, right? We talk about fatherhood on the side. I do. It's a whole thing with Gavin, but said many need to get put to sleep. Here's the thing. I'm not mad at that comment. I'm not of the camp of that, because you need the cannon fodder to exist, right? Like, if the cannon fodder doesn't exist, that means I'm the cannon fodder. Right? You kind of need to crash out dummies, right? Because if they can't focus on the crash out dummies, let's look at it this way, right? When you think of the black population of this country, right, vast majority of blacks live in the Bible Belt, right? That's where the vast majority of us live. The vast majority of us do not live in New York City, Philadelphia, Chicago, LA, right? Houston. The vast majority of us are everywhere between Upper Maryland, down through Virginia and the Carolinas, into Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, right? That's where the vast majority, Tennessee, that's where the vast majority of blacks at, right? So if they ever wanted to create an image of blacks, right, they could have went to any of the places where black people were, right? The image of black became New York City blacks, right? It became Philadelphia blacks, became Chicago. Like, think about shows, right? Where the shows focus on? They could have created a show about blacks in Washington D.C., right? They legit chose not to. They said no. Every show has to be New York City in the housing projects, right? Every show has to be, south side of Chicago, right? They do shows about blacks in L.A. around either drugs or gang culture, and I think I saw where blacks were like 6% of L.A. County. Blacks are actually underrepresented as a people in LA County, right? So when we see that the image that they pull, right, is from The Wire, right? Is instead of pulling the image of blacks from Upper Maryland, Washington D.C., the Carolinas, right? Instead of pulling that imagery of blacks, right, where we go, right? We go to the place where it is a pressure cooker of losses and say, well, let's use that. We protect too many degenerates. Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing, right? Productive black men would wrap up degenerates in 3 days, right? The problem is that the system doesn't care if it grabs Glocktavius or if it grabs a PhD. It doesn't care, right? The system will treat Glocktavius the same way it would treat a Dr. Tommy Curry, right? It treats them both the same. So there's really no way, again, for really productive black men to handle the issues in the community, right? To use those names, right? The Diddler and Kales, right? Everybody kind of knew Kales was a problem. Everybody kind of knew Diddy was a problem. Right? But again, they were protected. Just trying to get around the algorithm, man. Lincoln bios and Glocktavius. Those are my go-tos to try to get around the algorithm. Yeah, every degenerate has a mama. But those problems, we might need to start resolving those problems. But again, right, it's hard for us to do that in our community. So when I speak of the tactical retreat, when I speak of a split, right, it's not the ideal of like, hey, I want to create classism, right? But it is the ideal of like, hey, I want to save the community, right? And part of saving the community would be this division, that we should probably have in our community, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm almost certain he did. I'm almost certain he did. But that's all I really got tonight, guys. Appreciate it. Hope y'all, if y'all like the live clip, the older clips, let me know, man. I'll start grabbing the older clips and playing them, and we can discuss those things. Like I said, I like them because it kind of shows how far we've come as a show. I kind of like that, like to see, you know, our progress, how things have gotten much better. Big ups to, you know, a lot of that, not a lot of that, all that improvement that you see with the audio visuals. You know, that's courtesy of Gavin. That's his wheelhouse. That's his specialty. All other greatness come from me. Is that what the older clip might? You definitely slim down. Hey, I have to, man. I'm on that fit kick, man. I'll tell y'all a funny story. It's late enough now. It's late enough. So last year, I went to Bogota. Bogota is like the top of the mountain, right? There's only 3 capital cities that is higher than Bogota. So, like, it doesn't even look like you're in the mountain, right? It literally just looked like you're on the top of hills because you're legit at the top of a mountain. And I want to say it's like 9,000 feet. So to give you an idea, like Denver is like 4,500 feet. So like Bogota is like almost twice as high. So I took some hydration pills there with me. You know what I'm saying? So I was taking those every day. I was hydrating. Really didn't drink a lot because you're not supposed to drink when you first couple of days when you're at elevation. So like the first day, you know, I was like, all right, I'm good. So of course I'm bearing the lead here. Met a lovely young lady, right? So like the first couple of days, you know, I'm doing my thing, right? I'm getting that A, right? I'm like, yo, I'm top notch, top flight security cred, crushing. Ain't nobody getting through here, right? I'm crushing, man. Probably about that 5th day, I had to tell Shorty, I was like, yo, I can't die down here, man. I'm feeling pressure in my head. So I had to get in shape, man. I really, really had to get in shape. That was the beginning of my fitness journey, man. I was like, yo, there's no way that I can't really do what I need to be doing down here because I'm fat. So, yeah, man. Motivated by people are motivated by the craziest things. But Bogota is a beautiful city. It's not a party city. I mean, there's things to do. There's places to go. Like you can go down to Zona G. It's definitely good to go. But it was very, very affordable. Like very, very affordable, man. I was taking Ubers for, you know what? I need to vlog. Next time I go out of town, which is probably back to Cartagena, don't talk about me. We listen and we don't judge. But I need to vlog and like put those things up. Cartagena is not that cheap. It's cheaper than here, but it's not that cheap. Bogota, dude, I was taking like Ubers, and like I was getting like an alert from my credit card, man. Ubers was like 78 cents, $1.12. It was crazy, super affordable. So definitely bring those back. Yeah, it'll definitely get your streams up for older content. Please do. Hey, like real talk, Flowers. Bogota's a place you can take your girl. Like if you want to go somewhere with your woman, Bogota would be the place I recommend. Medellin and Cartagena is not the places I recommend that you go with your lady. But Bogota, absolutely. Make sure you give me credit. Maybe I always give you credit. I think Mimi is actually listener number 2. Maybe not officially, but unofficially, definitely listener number 2. Walker's definitely number 1. And Poised is definitely number 3. Like, y'all, like, pod blows up. I got y'all. Not even if, when the pod blows up. This time next year, we probably out of here. So, hey, man, I appreciate y'all hanging out, man. I know everybody got to get to work tomorrow. Good times. Appreciate y'all. Feel free to always hit me up in DMs. Working on some things. We'll let y'all know. Y'all know I'm slow because I got a lot of stuff that's going on and I'm old. But that's all I got, fam. You do not be vlogging, not even a video. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So if I vlogged, would that be something that y'all interested in? Right? Like if I went out of town, if I got the little what was it, the AI shades and whatever. I actually have all the equipment. I just don't do it. My bad. Like do y'all want to see that? And what y'all want to see? Like do y'all want to see restaurant? Because y'all know I'm not doing the women thing. I'm not showing the women because it's old and it's played out on YouTube, and it just attracts a terrible crowd. But if y'all want like restaurants and like places, I'll vlog all that, right? Like the Airbnb, I'll vlog all that. Just edit it up and brand it right. So, all right, next time I go out of town, man, we'll see if we can put a blog. I'll see if I can put that together. Find some cheap editing software that I could just throw all the pictures in together, and maybe find a way to voice over it. Music, food, art, and trip tips. All right, I guess we'll do it. Well, hey man, I appreciate y'all hanging out, man. That's all I got tonight. We done stayed on here about a full hour, man. I appreciate y'all hanging out with your boy, man. Y'all remember he said, Mimi, I'm hanging up on you.